This is a tragedy. I mean, watching this unfold as we seem to watch these unfold every few months is heartbreaking. It's horrific. On that count, I wholeheartedly agree with Congresswoman Omar. It might be the only thing that I agree with her. But over the past couple days since this has happened, several high-ranking Democrats, or high-profile Democrats, I should say, have asked, why isn't there more coverage of this shooting? Why aren't we using this shooting to promote gun control? And I think that's a very interesting question, because they're right in one sense. After the Parkland school shooting, that was a news story for several months, a daily news story for several months, 3 days after this shooting, and there's basically nothing being talked about anymore. Why do you think that is?
I mean, this is it's the deadliest shooting, I believe, since the one at the bar in California. So it's very bizarre that they're not talking about it. I think I know why. Let me put it this way. I was driving across state lines over the weekend, and so I wasn't able to consume my news in the normal way. And I literally had to just listen to cable news, Fox, CNN, MSNBC on Sirius, which does casts of the news through the cable stations. And I did not hear one word about anything that was relevant about the shooter. I didn't know that the shooter was a black male, which is just interesting because we're given this narrative that all shooters are white men. It's angry white men who do shooting. So I wasn't informed that I had no idea that it was a black male. I had no idea that he used pistols that were legally obtained, because we're told that all these shootings are done through scary assault rifles and AR-15s. So when it's a pistol, which we're told by these Democrat politicians, we don't want to take your handguns, we don't want to take your pistols, we just want to get rid of the big scary ones. When all of a sudden that narrative starts to fall to pieces, then they have nothing. So that's why you start to see these ridiculous tweets from people like Ilhan Omar, blame the NRA, as if the NRA said do it, and ridiculous tweets from people like Biden and Kamala Harris that just say do more, do more. Well, what does that mean exactly? It's because their narrative that we don't want to take your guns away, or at least your big guns away, is failing. They now have to admit they want to take your pistols away too.
Right. Well, so I think you're exactly right. So basically, this shooting didn't fall into the parameters of the Democrats' desired narrative on gun control, and so they don't cover it. I mean, if you actually ingest that for a moment, that's the most despicable thing in the world. They only talk about these tragedies. They only honor the victims who were senselessly murdered by a madman if it fits their political agenda. I mean, I think both sides of the aisle make those allegations against each other, but when you actually see this play out in a non-hypothetical sense, it's shocking.
It is. And you have I mean, just from a pure number sense, you have, and it was just as tragic. I mean, every life means something, but you have one death in near San Diego, the synagogue shooting in San Diego. They covered that more than they covered this. Surely when you're talking about numbers, one person versus the 12 people that were killed here, I mean, which one should get more coverage? It just comes to show you that for them, everything is political. It all comes down to, is it an angry white man? Does it fit our narrative? If so, then we're going to promote it. And to be honest, going back to a policy standpoint, I don't really see what policies they could suggest that would have stopped this, save for a complete repeal of the Second Amendment. Which, are we getting to that point where that's what we're going to start talking about? And that's what, when they start to say do more, is that what they mean? A complete repeal of the Second Amendment? No one's allowed to have guns?